So right now we are going to dig into 5 fast facts with Amy Bryant as we consider some of the important tips that you need to know for elder care. Now, obviously, there are way more than 5 of these that a person should know about, but we want to give you somewhere to start. Some of the prime ones that you want to be thinking about. So let's look at tip number 1: estate planning documents. This is one I think when you talk about people being afraid to kind of have the conversations, this is probably one that comes up the most. Tell us a little bit about the importance of estate planning documents and what they are.
Got it. Yeah, estate planning documents are very important for anybody that's 18 and older, actually. The number one document that most people are most familiar with are wills, and that's the document that you would either draft yourself. That's not suggested, or you would hire a lawyer to help you draft a will so that you can say what you would like to happen to your assets once you've passed away. And so that's the most familiar one. A living will is what many people need in order to state how you want to die. And so a living will is the document that you would use to state you don't want to be resuscitated, or you do want to be resuscitated, or you don't want to have um, artificial nourishment, or you don't want to be put on a ventilator. And so those types of things is what would be on a living will. And in a living will, you can find those online. The Department of Health actually has one of those online that you can get. Many of the times, you may be able to get one from a medical professional as well, just
Yeah.
to state how you would like to end your life and end it on your own terms. In the event that you don't have a living will, there are powers of attorney that you can have drafted. Now, there are people who Google powers of attorney and use the ones that they found online. I wouldn't suggest that, but I'm a lawyer. So it's most suggested that you would hire a lawyer to draft a document for you so that it's tailored to you. And a power of attorney is something that is a document that you draft to give another adult the authority to make decisions for you. And so you can give an adult the authority to make decisions for you wholly. That's a durable power of attorney. Or you could do a durable power of attorney for healthcare specifically. And then that individual is helping to make your healthcare decisions for you, either while you're capacitated or if you're incapacitated. And it really just depends. You can have one that works, that someone can use while you're also able to make decisions, or it can spring into action. It's called a springing power of attorney that will work if you lack capacity.
So a lot of these, I think people get the impression that whatever the document is, that it's so etched in stone that it can't be adjusted as time progresses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably something people need to be mindful of. And also, as you mentioned, these aren't necessarily documents you need to be thinking about simply just because of aging, but that if you're an adult, that it's good to have these.
Oh, most definitely. And you can change them at any time. I know people may not realize with the power of attorney, it's revocable at any point. You can revoke it and just write on it and say you don't want it anymore or take it away. Same with living wills and wills. Any of them can be changed at any point in time throughout your life. And it is suggested that you review them as you make life changes. So if you get married or you get divorced or you have some other life circumstance, you have children, you may want to review those documents to make sure they still say the things that you want them to say.
Yeah, because you don't want that ex making those decisions if they're an ex.
Yeah,
It
you
may be
don't.
time to find somebody else at that time to do it. Gotcha. Okay. Fact number 2: conservatorships. So, what exactly is a conservatorship?
So, this is my area of specialty. A conservatorship is a court order that gives one adult the authority to make decisions for another adult. And
Mhm.
this happens most often when there's not a power of attorney in place for a person, um, so that someone else can make decisions for them. And
Mhm.
so, the most prevailing times are when children become 18 and they've been disabled all of their lives. So, you're thinking about conditions like Down syndrome or severe autism.
Mhm.
And then there are conservatorships for the elderly. And so if a person has dementia or they have Alzheimer's or some sort of other illness that renders them unable to make decisions for themselves, or just simply old age, then a conservatorship may be established for them through the courts so that someone else can make decisions for them.
Okay. All right. Number 3: signs of aging. Uh, where it becomes applicable to making those other types of decisions, what are the things we need to be on the lookout for when we think of this?
One thing to be on the lookout for is loss of memory. And you can see that if you're in the house with someone, they may leave the faucet on, they may leave the stove on, they may not know how to find their way from one room to the next room. They may be quite forgetful. Another thing is having driving hazards. They may start running into mailboxes. They may have more frequent accidents, and that could be a sign of aging as well. Another sign of aging is just getting things mixed up. They may not remember facts. They may not remember who you are, or they remember during the day, but then what's called sundowning, they may have a change in mood in the evening. And so that's one thing you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, and so I guess it's safe to say that if someone is you notice some of these things, that if you haven't already been acting on some of the things that we talked about earlier, the documents, that you really need to be giving this some attention. But it's best to be doing this way before it gets to that point.
It is most definitely. However, it's not too late so long as the person still has capacity to sign a document. Then I would say at the first sight of signs, if you've delayed it, just get them to sign the documents if they're willing to. Some people aren't willing to.
Yeah, that's something we found out. It seems to be happening a lot when we've talked to people about it. Let's see about number 4, Medicare. This one and the next one I think are interesting because if you don't have either of them or anything, I don't think people understand the difference or what they are about or anything. What can you tell us about Medicare?
So Medicare is a federal program for individuals age 65 and older. And what people may not realize is that if you don't get Medicare at the age of 65, you can be penalized for not taking advantage of the plan at that time if you delay it. And so it is a healthcare program. It also provides in some instances, it can provide rehabilitation and inpatient services for the elderly. There is a monthly fee for that, but there are also programs that can waive parts of those fees. And typically that's taken from your Social Security check that you've earned if you've paid in enough over the years of your lifetime in order to have Social Security.
Okay, I was not aware that you could be penalized if you don't take it. That's interesting. What's that
Well,
about?
you're
You
only
have any idea?
penalized if you try to get it later. So they want you to start at 65. And so if you wait until you're 75, then you may have to pay a penalty for starting 10 years later than you were supposed to. Why? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
specialize in Medicare to know why the federal government does that.
yeah.
Maybe to keep track of it. I'm not really sure,
Maybe it's
to be
something
honest with you.
preventative. Maybe
hmm
maybe they.
Well, it is healthcare, and so
Yeah.
I guess they
Uh-huh.
want people to be healthy and make sure they have access to the doctor and access to hospitals should they need it.
Hmm. Okay, that's something worth looking into. I'm gonna have to check into that. That's interesting. And Medicaid, again, most of my life I remember hearing both of these and having absolutely no idea what would be the difference between one or the other. So
So
what do you got to say on that?
So Medicaid is for children and adults. And in Tennessee, Medicaid is called TennCare. So TennCare is Medicaid.
Hmm.
And so Medicaid is healthcare. And so it covers, with the elderly specifically, you can have in-home care and nursing home type care in your home or in a nursing facility.
Hmm.
And so for the elderly, that's one of the things that Medicaid does, but it is health insurance for individuals who are at the poverty level to be eligible for it.
Yeah.
And they fit into a category to be eligible for it. But aging is a category of Medicaid. And that's one of the things that people specifically need to prepare for, so that they have all of their assets in place. So in the event that they need Medicaid, once that person passes away, Medicaid doesn't take all of their remaining assets to pay for the care that Medicaid has provided.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously we can only get so much in critical information in such a short span of time. Where is the best place for people to go to make sure that they can get more information and get on that journey to being informed and equipped so that they can be able to care for the elders in their lives?
Well, elder lawyers, I would suggest that if you want to have any of the documents prepared. As it relates to conservatorships, you can go to our website. The Office of Conservatorships Management website has all of the information you could possibly need as it relates to conservatorships in Tennessee.
Hmm.
And then with Medicare and Medicaid, those are both federal programs. You can either Google them to get their address, or here in Tennessee, it's TennCare Medicaid, and you would put that in and you go to their website. And Medicare also has a website, and you would use the federal government's website and get all of the information you need. If you have specific questions about aging, I would also suggest the Area Agency on Aging and Disability. It's also called the AAAD, and they can answer pretty much any question about any of the things that I've mentioned to anyone.
This is the Scenario Radio Show. Real talk with a playlist.
That's the scenario.